Hi. So, in the last session of salary, that is today's session, as we have discussed, we are going to start with the perquisites. Now, as we have discussed in the last video also, there is a thin line difference between allowances and perquisites. When the benefits to employees are given in the monetary terms, those are allowances. However, if those benefits are non-monetary terms, those are considered usually as perquisites. So, we are going to talk about perquisites in this session. Now, when I say perquisites are also bifurcated into three parts, but the distinction is slightly different. One, those perquisites which are taxable to all employees. Second, those perquisites which are exempted to all employees. And third are those perquisites which are taxable to specified employees only. Now, when I say specified employees, what do I mean by specified employees? So, the definition of specified employees as per Income Tax Act covers all those employees who are one, director of the company, or second, employees who are having substantial interest in the company. Now, what do I mean by substantial interest? Substantial interest means employees who are holding 20% or more share capital of the company. Or third, those employees who are having the salary of 50,000 or more per month. All those employees would be considered as in specified employees. And if you are unspecified employees, then following perquisites would be exempted for you. Those are provision for sweeper, gardener or watchman, facility of gas or electricity provided, motor car facility provided, or free or concessional education facility provided. Now understand this thing. When I am saying education facility in allowances, in that I mean that the amount is or a specified amount is given for the purpose of a children's education. But when I am saying education facility in perquisite, in that it would be mean that you will be providing free of cost education. So here all the benefits are in non-monetary nature. When I am saying provision of sweeper, gardener or watchman, it doesn't mean company will pay the salary of gardener or watchman to you and you will be you will be paying that amount to gardener. It means company will provide you free of cost facility of gardener or free of cost facility of sweeper or facility of gas or electricity. So for specified employees, all these perquisites would be completely exempted. Next, we are talking about perquisites which are taxable to all employees. In that, the first is rent-free accommodation. Now you will say, sir, in the last session also you discussed about the accommodation or rent, but understand this thing, in the allowances company was paying you the rent for staying in a house. Here the company is providing you the accommodation itself where you don't need to pay any rent. So if a company is providing you rent-free accommodation, in that case, if you are a government employee or if you are a non-government employee. In case of non-government employee, license fee will be determined by the government. From that, actual rent paid by an employee, which means whatever actual rent paid by an employee would be deducted and the remaining of the amount would be taxable. But in case of non-government employees, there are two sub-bifurcation. You need to ask that whether the property is owned by an employer. If the property is owned by an employer, which means you are staying in a flat which is owned by an employer, in that case, if the city in which you are staying, the population of that city is about 25 lakh, 15% of the salary would be taxable. Now mark this word, here I am using the word taxable. In all the remaining of the allowances and perquisites, the word which you have used was exempt. So please don't make that mistake. Here I am saying 15% of the salary would be taxable. If the population of this city is between 10 lakh to 25 lakh, in that case, 10% of the salary would be taxable. And if in case of any other, which means if the population of the city is less than 10 lakh, in that case, 7.5% of your total salary would be taxable. This will be the case if the property is owned by your employer. But what if the property is not owned by your employer? In that case, whatever is less from the following. First, actual rent paid by the employer. Or second, 15% of employee's salary. Here you don't need to see the criteria of population. Directly you need to see that whatever rent paid by your employer or 15% of your salary, whichever is less, would be directly taxable. Let's talk about the next. Those perquisites which are taxable to all employees, irrespective of the fact that whether you are specified employee or not. Those perquisites are: one, that is interest-free loan if given by your employer to employee, or perquisites of lunch or refreshment given, valuation in respect of gift, voucher, token or given, any membership of club given or credit card facility given by your employer, or any other kind of expenditure for any club expense would all be taxable irrespective of your status, that whether you're a specified employee or not. So all those perquisites would be completely taxable. Now here the question might be, sir, how to determine the amount of these perquisites? Because if I'm saying that club membership is given to an employee, how you will determine the amount? So in that case, whatever amount of membership paid by an employer to the club would be taxable. Again, sir, what if in case of interest-free loan given? So in that case, you need to see that what is the prevailing interest rate in the market, and that amount will be taxable. Yes, one more thing. In any case, in all these cases, if a reimbursement is done by an employee, which means if an employer is paying you the loan for 2% and the market rate is 8%, in that case, the remaining of the amount, the difference between 8% and 2%, that is 6%, will be taxable. So this was about those perquisites which are taxable to all employees. And last, let's talk about those perquisites which are exempt for all employees irrespective of their status. So those perquisites cover telephone services, free food or non-alcoholic beverages provided, subsidized lunch coupon up to ₹50, or any training provided by an employer to employee, or employer's contribution in superannuation fund or provident fund, but provident fund is exempted up to 1,50,000 only. So these are the perquisites which are completely exempt in the hands of employees. So this was all about the perquisites. Thank you.